Oh my god, I cannot believe I'm actually here. So we're gonna talk right now about political philosophy. Yeah, philosophy sometimes makes me like crazy. Sometimes it makes me wonder about basically everything. Like I doubt myself, like to the point where I became very, very skeptical. And add that with politics. And so basically in my daily life, I always wonder about something like this. Is lying with a good purpose still considered as moral or immoral? If you find it like easy to answer, well, for me it's kind of like hard, because that means if we find it easy to answer that kind of question, that means it is affected by our personal experiences and kind of like bias. So that goes to my first point. Is there any perfect person that actually can be free completely from bias? We expect the law to be not biased, and we expect like judges and other law enforcers to be not biased. But I tell you something, that bias can be a good thing. If the police have kind of like a hunch, it's also considered bias, but sometimes they're right. And if the police is actually taking a case personally because they care, it also can create and it can lead to bias as well. But sometimes it's not great when you accuse people of murdering other people while they don't really do it. And especially it's kind of like dangerous to bring that to mass media. So in Indonesia, we have this websites, news websites, that post everything on Facebook, but the titles usually are very, very biased. And you can see why this is problematic, because in the commentary section, you can actually see that the comments also contain discriminative remarks. And for me, as a minority in Indonesia, I feel sometimes like it really hurts and it sucks. But you know what, sometimes if you live in a country like Indonesia, you just have to go with that, right? Yeah, so at least probably that's why my country is not as developing as it's supposed to be, because what we're trying to do is not to solve poverty. We don't try to make education better, but we focus on how to solve this internal conflict within ourselves, which is such a waste of time. And ironically, it's very ironic, but it's kind of like true. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is democracy. What is democracy? When I say democracy, I'm pretty sure that you guys have like the same democracy as mine. Like in my mind and in your minds, we think that, oh yeah, that's democracy. But if we have to give a definition to it, sometimes we came up with different kinds of definition about democracy. So my question is democracy the perfect solution as a governmental system? Well, not exactly. So we can see it this way. For people in the Middle Eastern, for example, they use Sharia law. And sometimes in Western people, we don't really understand, and we just say, oh man, it's so cruel and it's unjust and everything. But is it really unjust? And from my point of view, we consider unjust if the people doesn't really have the connection from the law with that moral value, you know, like the value of the society. So if they're using Sharia law because they believe it's the way for them to just respect their ancestors, and because it has the same value what they want to find in a family, so they're free to use it, right? Sharia law. So who's right? The Western society or the Middle Eastern society? I personally think both of them are right, because it's based on the people's perspective of what someone's expect of your own country. And my other problem with democracy is the problem in voting system. There's this movie about 12 Angry Men. Have you ever seen it? It's a 1957 movie, so yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, basically it tells a story about how this kid is waiting to be judged, waiting for his verdict to come out. And he was accused of murdering his father. So basically during a deliberation, the juries are being locked in one room, and at that day it was super hot, and like I said, it's from 1957, so you don't really have a good air conditioning system. So the 11 judges actually voted for guilty because they think like, yo, I want to go home and I want to watch a ball game. But then thank God, this one last jury, he said that, okay, he's not guilty. He said that not because he believes the boy is not guilty, but because they haven't examined the evidence, whether it supports the fact that is stated in court or not. So that's no problem with democracy. So should democracy be used at all? I think it will give you like, democracy should be used by countries who are ready to accept diversity and multiculturalism. Because why? What happens is, if you don't use multiculturalism and diversity, you will end up having the theory, it's called the tyranny of majority. The theory that states, basically, the majority will outvote minority all the time. Like, in the government, you have people from majority, and so basically whatever the majority wants, the government says, okay, yeah, let's pass this bill. But you know what? Sometimes the government itself doesn't really feel like they're discriminating the minorities. But because like the minorities isn't even like, it's not really there in their point of view. So it's kind of like problematic. So Devina, do you think there's an ideology for a country or government system? Well, as an idea, of course, like even communism, it actually perfect in one's mind, like seriously. But in practice, no, there's no perfect thing. Like every other thing in this world, nothing is perfect. Let's examine my country's ideology. It's called Pancasila. So Pancha means 5, and Sila is basically value. It's from Sanskrit. So the first one is, okay, we believe in God like very much. Like the first one is God is number 1. But again, depends on which God. So no, crash and burn. Second one, unity. I'm really sorry if you don't have the same religion as me, go Hakuna Matata yourself. So no. Number 3 is diversity. So again, Hakuna Matata yourself. Number 4 is democracy. Okay, forget about democracy. Number 5 is justice for all. Are you kidding me? Like, if I can slam point like Matt and Dennis, I will totally like, Hakuna Matata, man, are you serious? Like, I'm gonna bring that attitude. Like, seriously. Sometimes like, I'm so angry about it, like, I don't even know what to say to my government. Like, so that's why I'm really into politics, because people don't really see the smaller things. They only think like, oh yeah, how will this cost our budgeting and those kind of things. They don't even think about like the small things like this. And sometimes you can find the answer in small things, like stupid things like this, like the question that probably bore all nation but fascinates me like so much. I don't know why. That's why I joined a political party, because I know if we just become a bystander and just stand here while we know what we're supposed to do, it won't change anything. Like, that's why I want to become a better leader and of course a better example for my young generation. A friend of mine once said, if you want to do something right, you have to do it yourself. Dang right, spot on, that's what you have to do. Like, seriously. If you see like the government is incompetent and you're just like, oh man, you should step down. So what's going to change about that? So you know what? You just need to say to your governor like that, all right, right now you step down, I step up, and I take your turn. Your turn is over, man. Like, it's now my turn. So thank you for listening to my talk.